Come on, sir, we're busy.
Hey, huh?
Okay, well, give me a number 6 with an iced tea.
Here's your customer number, thank you.
Jerry, you're
Wait,
moving like pond water over there. Come
my
on.
number is 666.
Yeah, that's it. It comes after 665. Move on, sir.
Oh no, no, not 666 again. What the hell is going on? Ah!
Hot stuff here. Excuse me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live today. Good to see you all. The usual suspects here with me today, and don't mind my cousin Dexter has come over. He's got some plastic going up there. He's got some kind of project he wants to work on. Asked me if I could borrow my kitchen, which I said was fine since the bathroom's being remodeled and it's kind of a wreck over there anyway. So if you hear some noises and stuff behind me, it's just Dexter. He's just got a project he's working on. That's all I know about it. I don't ask any questions. So, but good to see you guys. Beautiful day here, but ridiculously humid. So I am thankfully in the indoors and nice and air conditioned here. But good to see you guys. Got Karis here from Voice of Astrology. And we got Forget Him. That's a new one. That's cool. Words Bloom. Welcome back. Of course, Donna Lembo, my paisan out there. Excellent. And Cahellis or Seashell. I'm sorry. Seashells. That's stupid of me. Seashells, not Cahellis. Teresa. Excellent. Excellent. Good to see everybody here. Oh, we got some new ones. Amy McDaniel, my mom, Adele. Good to see you, Mom. And we got Luigi Revolution. And so, yeah, we got people filing in. I'm making a little bit of small talk here to let everybody get seated. I got, this bathroom remodel is going great. I mentioned it in my last live on Thursday. So if you missed it, I'll repeat that. But basically, the VA has a grant that they offer. So if you have a veteran in your family that's got a disability like I do, where something in their house doesn't cooperate with that, like for example, this bathroom, previously the door was too narrow for a wheelchair and the bathroom itself was, I'm not even exaggerating, like 5x5. Very small, with a stand up shower stall that was also really, narrow. So you had to be standing up in it. And oh, wow. Thank you, Chappie Base, for that $1.99 super sticker. Awesome. And what's up, Metalheads? Back at you. Back at you. So yeah, so I had to go through a couple bits of paperwork, but nothing outrageous. And they came out and looked at it, and then had a contractor give me a bid, and he's done work here before, so it worked out really well that he got the work, and then he's taking care of it. So the bathroom, my beautiful wife made a suggestion that we take this closet out that was next to the bathroom to make the bathroom larger to enable me to get around. And so that's what worked. So we got it all together. They're still putting the fixtures in, but the plumbing is done, and drywall's tomorrow. So yeah, it's going good, but it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be able to take like a real shower. The first one I've been able to take basically for a year. Everything I've done is like bedside stuff, and you get clean, but it's not the same. And so it'll be really nice to just sit down and just take a shower, because I got a shower chair I can bring in there and just sit there and take a shower. So it's going to be awesome. And the sink is mounted to the wall, so there's no vanity under it, so I can get by it with the wheelchair. So yeah, so it's going good. That's what all that's about. But Dexter said he doesn't mind the renovations going on. He's just going to do his thing. So, all right. Well, very good. I really didn't have a specific when I set this live up for today. I was supposed to have an MRI this morning, oddly on a Sunday, right? But for some surgery I got coming up, and they had to check out a couple things first. So, but they had to cancel it because I need a different level of MRI that they don't offer at the hospital where I go. So I got to go out of town to do it. But whatever, it's fine. I'm glad they caught it, so I didn't have to go through it twice. But so yeah, I got to do it. I just don't know when. But yeah, it was just a routine thing that the surgeon wanted done. So yeah, so I wasn't really sure when I was gonna or if I was gonna do a live today. But when that got canceled, I thought, why not? Let's go ahead and do a live today, and it worked out well for everything with my schedule. So I hope it did with you guys as well. Thank you, Karis, on the bathroom. Congrats. Yeah, it's nice because that was the smallest bathroom I've ever seen, and the sink in that bathroom was like an airplane sink, like one of those. And they built like a box around it and covered up. I mean, they made it work. My niece at the time when we bought the house 15 years ago, I convinced her that I had elves come in and make her a little sink for her, and she loved that sink. And so yeah, she really liked it. But so getting questions on the T-shirt. This is from my friends at the Painted Wraith. Not plugging them, just you asked. That's of course Mike Myers, Jason, Ghostface, and Leatherface is at the bottom. You can't quite see Leatherface, but yeah, it's a Painted Wraith shirt they have on TeePublic. I'm using TeePublic now. I posted a thing on the message, the post that I made on the message board about the new store on TeePublic. It's awesome. I just uploaded the graphics and then and tell them what I will allow it to be printed on, basically. And I let them print on everything they had that it would work. So there's like 20 things you can have it printed on. So I've got the basic Murder Metal Mayhem logo as you see, usually in videos and stuff. And then I've got one with the logo plus a blood spatter on the bottom. And in the blood spatter, it says, "I need my 666 fix." And that one, they've sold some of those. That's cool. People really digging on it. I bought one myself. I had to have that. And then I made one for the Mayhem Squad that's got, oh no, the Horns High Club's got the double Horns High on it. And then the Mayhem Squad's got a mace on it. That's really wicked. I'm thinking about having that one made in a hoodie, which would look really cool. And you could get the hoodie zip up, pull over. I mean, that's the beauty of this TeePublic site, is you could have this stuff printed any way you want it, colors, size. I mean, you are really make quite a few design changes to how it looks with the colors you pick and stuff. So you could go crazy with it. I got a tote bag. I got a few stickers. I've bought shirts from them before with the sticker that comes with the thing, and the stickers are great. And speaking of stickers, I got new stickers coming and a new logo. I want to do another shirt with this, but you're looking, let's see, everything's reversed. So I'm all screwed up. Right here, do you see that? That's a brand new logo I just designed yesterday with the barbed wire around it, a couple extra blood spatters. It looked like I was losing my mind, but yeah, it's so weird seeing this in reverse. Um, but that sticker with the barbed wire around it, it'll be a new Murder Metal Mayhem sticker. I should have them within a week, maybe a little bit more. A new company I've never worked with before, so I'm not going to plug them until I know they like what they do. But yeah, so there's tons of stuff here. Here's Donna Lembo, friend of the show, of course. She's the mod in charge, and she bought a Mayhem Squad shirt. So yeah, I mean it's really cool. She's getting a V-neck. You can get uh, t-shirts. You can get excuse me, dry throat. Tank tops, hoodies. I mean, it's ridiculous. Tapestries. I'm gonna get a big tapestry. That'd be cool. Hang it up somewhere. So yeah, there's so many cool options with it. That's why I was really happy when I talked to my friend Mike, who bought who I got this shirt from his T Public. And then from going there, I'm like, I've bought shirts from this website before. They're good shirts. And so I ordered this and I really like the quality of it. Washed it several times. It's really nice. I mean, it doesn't shrink. It's 100% cotton too. So it's a nice shirt. But I wanted to do one for this, but I just didn't really have the time to sit there and fool with it. But it was so easy to do. So if you do designing or anything like that, I strongly suggest you go there. Now, I'm not making hardly anything. I think I make $1, literally $1 off the shirts and stuff, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it to get the word out and to give you guys some really good merch because you guys have been so cool. And these would be prices that would be right around where I would be pricing them. So I don't feel like I'm gouging anybody. I'm trying to keep it, close to what I was doing, and I can't compete with all those modifications. I mean, you go in $1,000 on t-shirts easy, as many of them as you have to buy, and then you always get stuck with a certain size that for whatever reason people just don't order. I got a whole box full of the zombie Murder Metal Mayhem t-shirts. I'm gonna have to do a sale or some kind of deal on that because I don't want to be sitting on shirts forever. But they're nice shirts with the zombie design on it. Maybe for the Halloween, you could pick one of those up. It's a cool spooky design for Halloween. But and it's got CK on it, RIP CK. But very sorely missed individual on the podcast side of the operation. So there you go. Also, thanks to you guys that are getting into the new show on Tuesday nights, Serial Killer Storytime Hour and or Story Hour, and it's been fun. I mean, I've done a few good ones already. I've done Joel Rifkin, and last week I did Harvey Glatman, the Glamour Girl Slayer. That was a good one. And this one coming up Tuesday, going to be doing Alan Legier. I bet a lot of you don't know who that is. That's because he's a Canadian and he was brutal. And we'll talk about his crimes. And we're going to have my friend Shane Borchuk on. He's called Canadian Shane to you. And Shane will be on there. I only did that because if you saw how Borchuk was spelled, you'd be like, there's no way I can pronounce that. I have to I don't do it now because I'm used to it. But when I first met Shane, in my notes, if I have a name that's hard to pronounce, so I don't make myself look like a fool, I'll phonetically spell it out and then I just read it like that. And so for Shane, I had it as Bore, Bore dash Chuck, and I got it. So yeah, but it's one of those Polish names that here in the Midwest we see a lot of, but he's up there in Winnipeg. But he and I have done this case before on the podcast, so we'll be doing it for you together live, and that'll be a lot of fun. And then you can ask questions. Shane's been up in Canada all his life. He's about my age, a little bit younger, but he's got a lot of experience. He's got the Canadian accent down. So, ladies, if you like that Canadian accent, you're going to want to check out Tuesday night. You got Shane with me. It'll be a lot of fun, and he's a great guy. Great guy. I also was doing a metal YouTube channel with Shane that we need to get back to. I plan on getting back to it at some point. It's called Throwing the Horns. So if you're into metal, go over to that channel, Throwing the Horns, and like it, subscribe. And then once we get active again, you'll know what's up. But we've actually got enough subs. I think we can monetize that over there. It's been a minute since I looked at it, but I would like to do that if that's possible. But it's fine. But go over there. Yeah, check it out. Got a lot of episodes we already did, so you can watch all those. Plenty of them over there. If you're into metal, we did different bands each week. And of course, you can't play any sound samples because YouTube will flag the episode and you can't use it. So it's a bummer. But anyway, so I was watching some content. I thought I'd open it up because I gave you guys the opportunity. This is an open live. I'm not chained up to any topic specifically, but I thought I would open it up with one, and then we can kind of spin off of that if that sounds good to you guys. So I was watching Lee over on Devil's Advocates. Love that channel. Love Lee, just really good dude. And he was on a rant. I mean, just on a typical Lee just rant. And gets me fired up too is this updated ISP documents that have dropped now. So we got the Idaho State Police weighing in, and he was going over some of that stuff with Dylan and some of their conversations with her, which would have been after the Moscow PD interrogations or interviews or whatever you want to call them that she did. And so those are a little bit different. This would have been like her third time through it. And these are different. And it's interesting, some of the stuff she says. Very, very interesting. It's no wonder why she was like lawyered up probably right after that. And you never heard another word out of her mouth until she did that, Meryl Streep impersonation at the sentencing hearing, like Sophie's Choice kind of crying stuff going down. But at least that's what I believe. You can believe what you want, of course. It's a free world, but I believe that she was putting on a show. I think she's. This is just my thoughts. I'm not saying anybody's guilty of anything. Everything's alleged. You know the drill. But I think there's no way that girl didn't have something to do with it in some way. I've said it from the beginning, and I'll say it. I don't care what comes of this case. I don't care who's claiming they did anything. I'm just saying there is no way that Dylan didn't have something to do with this, whether it be she let him in and she was like the inside person and that's all, or whether she was swinging a machete. I don't know. But they claim the wounds on Xana. I can't remember which channel I was watching with this. It might have been Lana or Jules. I can't remember. I bounce around to watching different creators. I like so many of them. I wish I could watch them all, but I can't. But I try because they're really great. I mean, Lana and Jules and Harsh, I like different perspectives, hearing it from different people. Of course, Harsh has the cool UK accent, which is sweet. I don't have that, but then he thinks I have an accent probably. So whatever. It's just great to have that kind of variety, and I think that's awesome. So my thoughts are, that she had something to do with this. I mean, honestly, there was something that somebody else mentioned about the wounds on Xana being not as deep and could have possibly been from a female. As a matter of fact, I think it was a channel that had it's going to slowly come to me. It was a channel that had like a crime scene investigator on, like a real expert, not like me or Harsh or one of us YouTube hacks, right? It's like a real person that does it was saying this, and that's indicative of a female attacker, and that's very interesting, to think that one of the attackers could have been female. I mean, we know that there's some notorious females that were in this whole periphery. I mean, I've been saying it from the beginning. I've done videos on it. I've had people call me crazy. I don't care, whatever. They could they could say whatever they want to say, but a lot of the stuff I've been saying from the beginning is coming true. And I'm just, I'm not the one to brag, but seriously, But I think that there was more involvement on the female side than we've been led to believe. I believe those sorority sisters were somehow in on it. I think the whole damn group of them was in on it. That's why I have a video on my channel called Lambs to the Slaughter. And it spells out my earliest theory. I've revised it slightly from that, but I should probably make a playlist of the different theories and not all the theories I've had. These are the theories that I've had out that I find interesting. And I'm not saying that they're true or not, but that they're just interesting, like the alive theory and some of the other ones. But I've done a few, and but the one that I feel closest to what I think is real is the lambs to the slaughter, which is these four were picked out, that this was an orchestrated effort to get them all in one place, and then they allowed somebody, I don't know who, could have been three or four, would be my guess, to go in there. These wounds look like they were from professionals. They would know where arteries were. Some frat boy high on whatever wouldn't. But these guys knew where they were. I mean, that's how Ethan was cut. Boom. He was out of it. But there was a lot of nothing in those pictures. And I don't know how you could have had the wound he had, being a 6'4" guy. I mean, seriously, I mean, he would have still had some gas in the tank even after he was hit, but he wouldn't have been able to stand for long. But surely standing up, it would have been all over the place, So that doesn't look like anything like that. I mean, what they've got blurred out looks like a teenage kid, not a 6'4" man. That's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell they think they're trying to pull with that, but that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I feel that she had some involvement. So what do you guys think? So here's my mom weighing in. Adele came to the conclusion about Dylan. Just watching her at the sentencing hearing, she was too dramatic and gave off phony vibes. Totally. Yeah, Mom, you were the one that made me really think hard about that, because it was interesting coming from you, because you were relatively new to the case. You really hadn't heard much, I mean, other than a few things when you've come into the lives, but not the full live until here recent. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely what most of us feel, the same exact thing about her. She just comes off, and if you watch the different, interviews she's given, what they've released, I mean, she's changed some things pretty dramatically. There was a couple of things in this new one from the Idaho State Police that was really. She said, "Oh, the investigator asked her, why do you think they spared you? If they saw you there, or how did you get spared?" And she says, "Well, I don't know. Maybe he knew who I was, and that's why he spared me." And then kind of backtracked on it when he was like, "Well, did you know the person then? Like, who is it?" And I think she gave a name, and it was like a long name too. I'm trying to remember how it was worded because I watched a lot of it this morning, and it's go check that out. Go check out the one that uh, Devil's Associates has, because it's good, or Devil's Advocates. I'm sorry. It was a good one. It's a longer live, but he goes through the whole thing, and you'll be blown away at some of the differences in what she says about what happened that night. It's different. It's different. Some of the wordage she uses is definitely different. So they keep twisting this thing around. And, now I saw somebody put in the comments, I didn't get a good chance to grab it, but, she's got 107 or 108,000 in that GoFundMe. And to me, that just besmirches legitimate GoFundMes. You know what I mean? When somebody does a GoFundMe because of a medical emergency or something like that, or sudden death in the family, that's a totally different thing. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be for, not for something like this. I mean, come on. I mean, you'd think that she came from the projects or something and that she needed a hand up. I mean, no, she comes from a little bit of money. They sure as hell didn't need financial. Like, what is the money going to do for her? Was she just going to go on a year of vacation, I guess, and just forget about everything? I don't know. I mean, it just seems absurd. It just seems absurd. Here's DW weighing in, coinciding with what I just said. Exactly. Yeah, here you go. If you tell the truth, your story doesn't change. That's fantastic. Rosie W, MVP. Yes. That's very true. If you tell the truth, you've got nothing to hide later on. And I'm retired now, but when I worked on very large projects and involving renovations and demolitions and just lots of stuff going on involving government regulation. And heard stories all the time about people being on the take and people trying to get side cash by doing this or doing that. I never did any of that, and I'm honestly saying it, and I could go to sleep at night and not worry about it, and not have to be retired and get some case come up from out of nowhere about something that I did 20 something years ago. So that's a very true statement. If you just tell the truth, you got nothing to hide, and you're not going to vary on your story if you tell the truth. It's when the story changes that dramatically, you wonder. At first she said she couldn't see anything, then she said she saw a nose or a big nose, but then I don't know if that was somebody said that about the nose. It gets so confusing because we hear so much about this case, and I sometimes wonder, is that something I heard that somebody said, or is that something like out of a document? And yeah, it's just, and here's a good one. Words bloom. Why has Bethany completely disappeared? That's a damn good question. I don't understand how that's even possible. Now, there was something my wife and I were watching the other night where it said something about if you weren't a resident of the state, they can't. But that seems like that would be too easy to get out of. If somebody, all they had to do was just to leave town or leave the state or become it has something to do with residency. And she was a resident of Nevada, so there was more red tape, I think, something related to that. Nonetheless, I agree with you. I mean, I've said it from day one. They should have never let Bethany and Dylan leave custody until they were thoroughly vetted and legitimately interviewed. And if they lawyered up, that's fine. Have the lawyer in there with her, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what kind of obstacles. I'm sure there's plenty of obstacles they could have thrown in their way to delay things and let them out, but it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because it seems so obvious that she's nothing but trouble. But yeah, Bethany too. I think that there's lots of questions for her. So we got somebody that looks like she's new. Lori DeFranco. What's up, Lori? Good to be here. Glad you're here. Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, I think lots of good questions about Dylan and Bethany are unanswered still, and I don't know if we'll ever get answers about it. But I do feel that with her constantly changing story, I mean, I get like little details could possibly be different, especially if you're talking about 2.5 years later. But these were all taken within days of each other. This is not like now. This is just being released now, but this is certainly not now. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't see how these two could keep flying under the radar when there's so much more evidence against, let's just say, Dylan, because Bethany's been lawyered up and gone, but Dylan, there's more evidence to me pointing toward her than there is to BK by far. Oh, I see Kara says Brian is one of the Mo. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But one thing about BK is that they've got these new experts that claim they were going to testify in the trial, that talk about things they found on his phone, like ways he was operating his phone. And I mean, again, you guys know I've been very fair with Brian. I I've been on the fence because I just didn't know. And I've been playing a little devil's advocate there, a little nod to Lee, playing a little devil's advocate myself in saying, what if he didn't do it? Rather than jumping on the boat of, oh yeah, he did it, because I didn't know. I didn't know. And I still really don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Pleading guilty, we all know. I mean, we've been over this, that pleading guilty certainly does not mean that you're actually guilty. I mean, it's like a chess game. Okay. So, if you are playing chess, okay, and your opponent's got your king backed in a corner, and the only way you can get out of that corner is to get your piece killed because there's no other way to go, you may just want to get it over with and get your piece killed, and that's that. I'm using this as an analogy. So in his case, I mean, he may have made the decision of saying, there's no way I'm getting a fair trial here. This judge is obviously a complete and total asshole. And he's totally in in bed with the prosecution, so to speak, and there's no way I'm getting a fair trial. So rather than be sentenced to death, I'd rather be life in prison. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me is that they couldn't get some sort of explanation of what happened like they did with BTK, Dennis Rader, and made him go through the whole thing. Now, I know that's gruesome, but wouldn't that have been, I mean, if, and that's a big if he did it, wouldn't that be just fascinating to hear him describe how that all went down? It would answer the questions. But I'm not saying that he did it. I'm just saying that if that was the case, that would be really cool. If he didn't do it, was he somehow involved in the planning or drove them there or let them use his knife or something like that? Then that's certainly possible too, you know. And he didn't want to give up his friends, you know. Here's Chappie with a good one. Officer Rosendahl is ultra suspicious. Yeah, I mean, Rosie, as they called him, you know, he's somewhere else too, isn't he, Chappie? He's not, I know he's not with Moscow before, but I keep saying if you want to figure out who the dirty cops were on Moscow PD, I would say a good portion of the dirty ones are not there anymore. You got Chief Fry just up and takes off and retires and then goes and becomes sheriff somewhere in some other county. And then the chief, he retired, but I don't know like how close he was. He may have been legitimately just retired, you know. But then you got, you know, what's his name? Payne. There you go, Detective Payne. That necrotizing fasciitis brain gets me every time. You got Payne. He's working at the U of I. Go Google that. I don't know where the hell the guy is. I mean, he's not listed on any kind of official anything over there. So I don't know what his job is over there. I checked with the police. I checked the general directory. I've Googled the name at U of I. Nothing. So if he's got some kind of job over there, it's top secret or it's some BS job he's not doing and getting paid for. I don't know. But you wonder, what was he promised to play the idiot in this story? I mean, he must have been paid a handsome sum, whether it be in green stuff or another nice, sweet job away from the hassles of law enforcement, to make himself the court jester in this story, because he looks like the biggest idiot in the world based on this investigation and how it went and some of the things that he said. I mean, in that press conference, I mean, just totally ridiculous, you know. I mean, the guy, it's a disgrace. And how they put a detective with only 3 years of experience in that kind of a position to run the show of this, I just don't get it. I mean, there had to be people there with more seniority and more experience than him. I mean, I get that it's a small town, but still, I mean, that's why it seems like a rigged game. Is, hey, you're going to kind of take the fall, and when it's all said and done, we got a nice job for you. You just leave quietly, and yeah, you get this nice. You won't have to worry about jobs again. You'll be all right. And then that's that. And he goes and hangs out and does his new job, whatever it may be, or it may be nothing. So, yeah, here's a good question, or here's a good point here from Miss Tree. Uh, Dylan, of course, drives 90 miles to lure Kaylee back. She went up to Coeur d'Alene, which is correctly about 90 miles from Moscow, and then refuses to walk up the steps just to check and see if she's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's absurd. You got one friend flat on their back and you just run or walk or skip by and then don't think, oh my gosh, like if she's down, like what about the others? I mean, total disregard, total narcissist. The story doesn't make any sense. I mean, none of these stories make any sense. That's what Devil's Advocates, he was getting fired up about it because it gets really frustrating to even talk about it. And that's why I think that, we try to, maybe get into some other cases just because it's like burnout almost. You're just so burnt of repeating yourself. Oh, sorry, I meant the wrong one. Just go by you so quick. Here's Dan Smith. I wonder, is this the Dan Smith in the East West Bowl on Key and Peele? That was a great one. That was a good one. Sorry, Dan. Why is Payne in the middle of a quad playing around with one of the department undercover's cop car? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That whole undercover operation is ridiculous anyway, right? I mean, we out on the band field. I mean, that was just farcical to believe that was true because that's when everything was going on. I think I still feel that way. I still feel that everything was going on in the 3 o'clock hour, not the 4 o'clock hour. I think they're off an hour. Also think, and I've said this in another live, I'm going to repeat it. The time changed in Moscow the weekend before. The weekend before the times changed, and I bet half of those videos were wrong on the timestamp, off by an hour. Because I have zero faith that any of the Moscow PD would have been thorough enough to check and make sure that the video timestamps were correct. And I've talked to video experts that say it is extremely difficult to get those things to line up anyway. It's almost impossible. And if you're not changing that thing and doing it the way you're supposed to do it, when the time change comes, if you have like an older one, I'm sure the newer ones are more inclined to be Bluetooth and get the current time that way on the Wi-Fi probably. But I don't know. But I've Googled it and looked into some couple different articles and talked about 50% are typically need to be you have to manually change the time, kind of like a microwave or a stove. So it's not a big deal, but you got to actually do it. So if it's a week later, who knows? Maybe people didn't think to change it. So I wonder how many of them were off that way. Also, you got a bunch of people at that school from Boise, and Boise is an hour off of Moscow. They're two different time zones. So you could have kids, that are from Boise trying to give descriptions of where they were and this and that and be off. So I think there's a lot of possibility for things to get confusing when you're dealing with a place where the time had just changed the week before and you've got people that are in a different time zone that are a major part of the population during school time when kids are there. So that's just my observation on that. So yeah. Let's see here. See a little back and forth here in the chat, which is good, but keep it civil. And if you're not, we got Donna Lembo in there to take care of business. So I see a lot of chats going by, and I try my best to get them all in there. I don't know if anybody's getting. See, somebody said they were been frustrated, but I don't know if that's with me, Don, or if that's with something else. But yeah, try to. Yeah, just trying to read the chat and see what you guys want to. Hey, White Seven Fang, good to see you, Pete. Hope your Sunday is well. Thank you very much. Yeah, same to you. Sunday, now that I'm retired, Sunday doesn't have the same sting as it did when I worked, and I was just like dreading having to go back to work on Sunday. So it's a lot different than it used to be. That's for sure. But thank you, doing good. Here's Teresa Morris, friend of the show. What's up, Teresa? Good call on that different time zone thing, as well as daylight savings time switch too. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I almost thought it worked out. Now, this would have really been a mind blower if it would have been that weekend, because talk about a goofy, you got like an extra hour. So I thought like that would almost be, I got thinking of like for a book. Like that's a really interesting idea, like that lost hour, right? Between when the clock strikes 2 and then you bump it back to 1 o'clock again. You've got like some kind of weird lost hour thing. Like you could almost pull off some kind of crime with that is the motive or the way would trick people. I'm not sure, but it definitely made me think. And then I was pissed when I found out it was the Saturday before. So I just thought that would have been crazy to time a crime around that and then end up just confusing the hell out of everybody. But yeah, it could have been confusing. It could have been confusing. So, and Teresa goes on that she's never seen that in any kind of book or anything. I haven't either. I just was really surprised, especially since it was so close to the weekend before. So, and I also Googled like how long do people typically take to manually change their time, and it was like it had on average 1 to 2 weeks. So, like I said, some did, some did. 50%. I mean, it all seemed to be pointing that direction. That's why I felt comfortable saying that. But I've gotten a number of people asking me, not right now, but just as an aside, a lot of people asking me about the West Memphis 3. I've mentioned the West Memphis 3 case on here before. I think the West Memphis 3 case is probably one of the most important true crime cases on like mass hysteria, like what happens to people when the masses are just like lost their minds. And that's kind of what the West Memphis 3 is like. And so I'm working on some things. I'm trying to line up an interview, but I'm going to do a true crime deep cuts on the West Memphis 3. So it'll be a longer episode than usual, probably about an hour-ish. If I do the interview, it could be a lot longer, but if it was, I might use part of the interview in the episode and then release the full interview, right after the show comes out. Because it would be cool, but I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm working on that. All right. So if you're interested in the West Memphis 3 case, like I am, and I know it's going back, what was that, 89? Right around in there. A lot of people don't even know anything about the West Memphis Three. And I'll tell you, if you want to learn about the West Memphis Three, check out the documentary called West of Memphis. West of Memphis. Peter Jackson did it, the Lord of the Rings guy. Yeah. He did it. So it's very professional. It's very well put together. And it involves all sorts of celebrities because they all came to help. You got, all sorts of them on there, and some bands playing and stuff. And it was just really cool what they did to help these three that were completely bamboozled into being found guilty. And that's the kind of stuff that I think could have been weighing on Kohberger's mind. Cases like that, I mean, you want to think like, well, I'm not guilty, so what do I got to hide? That's true, but what about the West Memphis Three? I mean, the West Memphis Three case, zero DNA evidence, zero physical evidence, no fingerprint, no shoe prints, no anything, no DNA, nothing, zero on the three of them, and they all three were found guilty. And Damien, the oldest of the three, he was found guilty with a death sentence. And yeah, over nothing. I mean, it was the satanic panic. And everybody, because they wore black t-shirts and had long hair, they must have been guilty. It's just like people on here, when I first started doing the channel and they saw the 666 thing and freaked out. And I'm like, it's a goof, man. Like, I'm not some kind of satanic freak. I'm just some guy that likes heavy metal. And it's kind of a heavy metal thing. It's no big deal. It's not at all religious. Zero, that has to do with that. It's just the thing, It's like saying, what's up, with the horn. What's up, man? It's no big thing. And most people were cool with it. Some people really dug it. Some people still like, I don't want anything to do with it. I can't. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then they go. So it was a silly time, but there's so many people that's a good example of it that still believe in that crap. That put people that don't look like them, and they want to put them in a box, and it's just annoying. And so that's why I do it, is just kind of a middle finger to those that have treated me and people that are like me a different way because of the music we like. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because most people, if they've ever listened to metal, would be surprised at what they sing about. I can tell you that right now, Sure, there's some bands that sing about some grisly stuff. There's that. There's movies like that too, but I don't hear anybody talking about putting an author in an insane asylum or in a prison because he wrote a story about the occult or whatever. I don't hear anybody talking about putting movie producers in prison or anything over what they produced. But yet, for some reason, bands, it's something to do with the band, has got to be just horrible, and it's stupid. And it's because of that, venues sometimes don't want those kind of shows because they think the place is going to get tore up. Meanwhile, you could get you get into a big brawl at a country show when you're drunk drinking beer at a country show, just like you could at a rap show or at a metal show. Same thing. I mean, you put alcohol with people, they act stupid, and it's frustrating. So that's why I want to do the West Memphis 3 story. I'm just really at this point I've just decided I'm not going to do anything if it's not something I'm totally into. So, like I said, I'm still going to talk about West Memphis 3, the Idaho 4, because I'm sure there'll be things to talk about. And there still is. This Dylan stuff that I watched today, I mean, it's nuts. But anything that you like, that you guys want to talk about, um, be up for a discussion. Like I said, I wanted to make this just kind of a free form discussion, nothing set. I wanted to open it up with that stuff I read about in the Idaho 4, but we're approaching an hour. I usually go about an hour and a half. I don't like to do like crazy long lives, but looking here in the chat, talking about some metal. Here's a good one. Donna says she was front row AC/DC, probably 85 or 86. That would have been killer. I saw him around then too, Donna. I saw him. Yeah, that would have been right around when I saw them. I think it was Flick of the Switch. The Flick of the Switch tour where I was when I saw them. And I think that was right around in there. But they were killer. I mean, just unbelievably good live. So loud too. That was just crazy. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff we could talk about. I could talk about music. I could talk about my writing. I'm working on the book, which is about my experience this last year with all the medical stuff that's happened, and it's definitely therapeutic. At the same time, it's been a little rough in spots, reliving some of that. But I'm happy with the way it's turning out so far. So at this time, no release date. I really don't have any idea. I guess when it's done, and then I'll let everybody know, and then we'll plan some kind of release. I am going to shop it around to some nonfiction agents to see if anybody's interested in it, but if not, I'll just do it myself like I've done with all my other stuff. Traditional publishing is difficult. I've tried. It's just difficult. I can compare it to being in a band and like trying to make it, to the major label level. Very difficult. A lot of luck, a lot of just you happen to be right place, right time, that kind of thing. Because without that, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Wow, we got more people wanting to talk about AC/DC in the chat than talking about the Idaho 4, which is refreshing to see. Yeah, Karis, you missed basically a lot of talk about music, so that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I've seen a ton of concerts. I used to take pictures and do interviews with bands on tour. I used to run an organization for metal bands called Heavy Core, and we used to help bands touring and stuff. And I used to run a website for it and used to interview bands and go out with my son. A lot of times I took him. So he was this little kid tagging with me in the photography pit in front of like King Diamond and stuff, like right there, like a foot from King Diamond and all these different people we loved. Creator, Nuclear Assault, Napalm Death, I mean, Exodus, ton of them. And we were right there, taking pictures and or talking to them backstage and doing interviews. It was a lot of fun. And for him, I mean, it was like a dream come true because he was seeing all these people that he loved up close and personal and meeting them and stuff. It was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, there's a lot of great music out there. Certainly, everybody has their own tastes, but I've been a metalhead all my life. I remember hearing AC/DC for the first time. They're the first, A Whole Lot of Rosie, that song. I heard that on the radio, the live version, because I think, well, no, there is a recorded version of it. I love that song, but live is where I heard it. And that's what got me into like hard rock metal was that was there was a band at my school. It was a junior high, I think, and a rock band came in and played in the gym for the school. I was like, I don't know, 12 maybe, 13, and they played and I was like completely blown away. I'd never seen anything like that. It was so loud. And I remember just being like totally obsessed with it, and then listening to the radio at that same time, and then the AC/DC song "A Whole Lot of Rosie," just really a cool song, and got me really hooked. And then I started checking out more stuff and got more into it. So that song for me is that's where that's where it comes in for me. But like I said, everybody's got their own thing. This is a good one. Teresa says, missed getting to see Led Zeppelin. Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I was too young. He died in 80. Bonham died, I think it was 80, 79 or 80. So yeah, I would have been too young to go and see Led Zeppelin. But yeah, that would have been a good one to see. I would have liked that. I love John Paul Jones as a bass player. One of the most unsung heroes there is in music. That guy did a lot of arrangements. He played keyboards for him too, but unbelievably good. And John Bonham too. Not a huge Jimmy Page fan. He's sloppy. He's got a sloppy style. But oh, here she comes back with King Diamond. Saw him in Merciful Fate. Yeah, Merciful Fate's amazing. Um, Yeah, I agree. I agree. I know the last name you're talking about, but I'll keep it hush. But yeah, his real name would be very common over there. That's cool though. That's cool. Awesome. Pitbull Mama says her music tastes are all over the place. She says Bush. Oh, here Kara says she saw Page and Plant on the No Quarter tour. That would have been really cool. That would have been really cool. Pitbull Mama, Kill Switch Engage. Yeah, my son really likes them. My son really digs that. Cypress Hill Mystery. That's cool. That's cool. Chappie Bass. Chappie Boss. Why do I want to keep saying bass, Chappie? Sorry, Chappie Boss. Merciful Fate. Yes, dude. That's when it comes to like the more extreme metal stuff. When I was first getting into the extreme stuff, they were one of the first ones I started to listen to. And it took me a little bit to get used to his vocals. But once I got it, I was just like obsessed with it. I've met him twice. I've seen him probably 6, 7 times. Unbelievably good. Never got to see him with Merciful Fate though. That's the one I wished I would have got into him a little bit sooner because I could have seen him on Don't Break the Oath. That would have been 84. But I wasn't listening to that stuff then. I was listening to like Priest and Maiden and that kind of metal, Dio, all the more mainstream metal stuff. But then I started listening to Metallica, Merciful Fate, Venom, and then I was whole hog going into the more hard stuff, and then even getting into some of the death metal too. So hell yeah, that's cool. Wow, I can't get over this. Is cool. I mean, we got a fair amount of people in here, but we're just chatting about music. I think that's great. I'd love to be able to just free do one of these like this. If you guys like doing these kind of just free live, free form live and not something, regimented with, topics. But if you have anything, if you have any true crime topics you like, some of the more lesser known serial killers, you want to make some suggestions, you could put that in the chat, and then I can try to put the person into the rotation, so to speak. Yeah, Dio, just so amazing. I love Dio. I love Dio in Elf, which is funny that he was in Elf, because he's kind of like an elf. He's so small. Loved him in Rainbow. Loved him in Black Sabbath. Loved him solo. Loved everything that he had done. Just amazing. Just amazing. The Elf stuff's probably now digitally easy to find, but back in the day, it took me a while to find some of it. But I loved him so much, I just kept going backwards, to see what he had done before that. And I love the Rainbow stuff. I love, like I said, everything about Dio. It's too bad he's gone. He was a tremendous voice. The Who, there you go. Classic rock, loud as all hell. Another amazing bass player, John Entwistle. My God, that guy was a beast. Oh, Juan says, didn't you tell me once that you got to see Cliff before he died? That is correct, Juan. I did. 1984 Ride the Lightning tour. It was a blizzard. I had an hour to drive, and it took 3 hours, but we made it. It was Metallica, Wasp, and Armored Saint. Armored Saint played first, and then Wasp and Metallica were alternating who headlined the night. And I got to see them on a Metallica night, which was awesome. I mean, Wasp was cool, but Metallica was unbelievable. And it was with Cliff, so I got on Cliff's side, which was stage left, and got right in front of him, or stage right. Yeah, stage right. Sorry. And got right in front of him, and I could almost touch his wah pedal. That's how close I was to him, and it was unbelievable. I mean, he did Anesthesia pulling teeth like 2 feet away from me. It was unbelievable. And it was that night that I went from listening to like Maiden and Priest and Ozzy and stuff, full on to like the heavier stuff, and that I wanted to play that kind of stuff because I had been just starting playing in bands. I mean, we were doing originals, but they were much more, mainstream style than Metallica style at that time. So yeah, Cliff, I got to see him then. And then the next tour for a Master of Puppets, they played with Queensryche on Operation Mindcrime, which was unbelievable. I mean, the two of them, bam, bam. And Queensryche had the full stage and did a Mindcrime set, which was unreal with all these monitors and stuff. It was amazing. And then Metallica came out and just crushed it. I was on Cliff's side again, but this was in an arena, so I was quite a bit further away. But I saw him there, and then it would have been about 2 or 3 months after that is when he had the bus accident. So he was gone. So I got to see him twice before he got caught by that bus. That was horrible. Well, what a brutal way to go out. But he was a great bass player, fantastic, very influential on me playing with my fingers. Geezer Butler from Sabbath, another big influence on me playing bass. Bob Daisley also played with Ozzy and Rainbow and Uriah Heep and some other bands. Played with his fingers for the most part. And I love that style of playing. I like other, bass players that play with picks too, but my go-to is playing with my fingers. So But yeah, you could. There's a few low 12 videos out there on YouTube if you want to watch them and see what my music was like when I played. I used to also play in the band Sacred Oath, which is a more traditional metal with a more traditional metal singer, although got pretty high falsetto, somewhat similar to a King Diamond. Huge influence of Rob Halford in the way he sang, but a different kind of singer than Rob Halford. But high falsetto and mid-range vocals. I didn't sing very much in that band, just a little bit. But I moved out here, and been on probably 2 or 3 albums after the first one that they had me record out here. And but they have a permanent bass player that plays with them, so he does the shows and stuff. But I think he recorded the last album or albums they've done, but I've done, like I said, about 3 of them with Sacred Oath. All right. Any let's see here. I'm looking through the chat. You guys are still talking about uh here. Chappie says he was had a band called Epitaph. That's cool. That's a cool name. Cool song by Fate's Warning too, Epitaph. That's one of my favorites. So yeah, it's interesting now. I'm glad I'm kind of out of the band thing. I mean, really, if I start the metal channel up again, I'll be following it with new releases, which is okay. The local politics of it all, I'm not sorry to be away from, because that was just ridiculous. Just a lot of people just being stupid. Um, so that's why I don't miss it, you know. So Miss Tree says murder metal with a capital metal, Mayhem. Yes. And I don't forget that that's how the show started. And that's what the podcast is. So if you like that format, go listen to the podcast, because there's 200 and something episodes, and it's divided up in those 3 parts. Murder, which is the true crime part. So if you like true crime but you don't like metal, I did it by design. You could listen to the true crime part and then bow out, and you don't have to listen to the rest of it. It's about an hour is what it takes to get through the intro and the murder segment. Hour to an hour and a half, depends on the topic. And then we do the metal segment, where we talk about metal and new releases and bands on tour, and do some interviews with bands, little excerpts from the interview, and then release the full interviews later. I've interviewed dozens of bands from all over the world, from Australia, Germany, everywhere. So love doing that kind of stuff. And that's how that goes. And then Mayhem was designed just as a catch-all for just various things. Like we do the killer cage match, where we let serial killers fight to the death in a cage, and we have the listeners pick numbers, and then we have a list of all these killers we came up with. So if the listener says I picked 37, whatever number is 37, it's Ed Gein, and then versus number 50, which is John Wayne Gacy. So now you got Gacy and Gein in a match, and then we have the pick another 2 numbers, and that's the objects they fight with. And we've got everything from a butcher knife to a garden hoe to a chainsaw to a can of corn. I mean, all kinds of silly things, really brutal things. And so it's funny. So you got, let's say, Gacy and Gein with a chainsaw and a cell phone, and that's all they got. Go. And then we 3 weigh in on how the fight would go. And it's a lot of fun. I put crowd noise in on it. It's a lot more produced than what you see here on the channel, because it's us 3 and not just me. So it's different. It's different. And it's way watered down. on the language and the humor. I definitely don't go nearly as far as I do on the podcast, but that's not everybody's thing. So if it's not your thing, don't listen to that. But if it is, then you might like it. You might like it. We do play a little bit of music, but it's only 30 seconds. So we play three, we call them bumper music, three bumper music pieces between each of the sections, and that's it. And we do fake commercials on there too, which are really funny. Um, Listen to Pete. He's getting all thrilled with metal junk. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, Dan. I'm not sure if you're being cool or if you're being an ass, but if you're being an ass, you won't last very long here. I can tell you that right now. So, yeah. So, what else we got? Anybody? Long Island serial killer. There's a hearing coming up that'll revolve around the evidence, the DNA evidence, and its relevancy in the case. So that'll be interesting. I know that that's a case that I've been talking about, and we've got some people here on the channel that are interested in that one. I've also been talking about the Flora 4, which is that case out of Flora, Indiana, which is about the girls that perished in that fire in a couple months before the Delphi murders. These two towns are 15 miles apart, kind of in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. I'm leaning towards something's going on there. It's a sad case, though. Boy, it's a tearjerker. These three beautiful, four girls, young girls, just terrible. These sisters that perished in this fire, and their mom tried to save them, and she couldn't get them out. They had to airlift her to the hospital because she had these nasty burns, and she eventually recovers. But what a terrible thing to wake up to. Wow. So that's an interesting case, and they never found out who did it. There's another kind of Idaho 4 thing going on there, where the misleading evidence. I think it was done on purpose for sure. At first, the state said it was an accident, and then they said it was on purpose. Because they found some accelerant in different parts of the house. So it was done on purpose. So it's arson. And there is some questions I've been seeing in the comments, but I haven't seen it on video yet. A next door neighbor that apparently was kind of like out there watching, which isn't uncommon, but he was kind of a little bit too interested, if you get my drift. And so that always points to potential, suspects, but I don't know anything more about him than that. So been told he had red shorts. That's all I know. The guy with the red shorts that lived next door. Same landlord owned both houses. So he was a friend of the landlord, as a matter of fact. So that even points more towards some shenanigans, because the place was appraised in the fall, a couple months before this happened. So that's certainly very damning, I would think. Like, ooh, this place isn't worth nearly what it would be worth if this match fell on the floor. Maybe that happened. Who knows? I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying that's certainly curious. You want to be even more curious. You want to be like Idaho 4 curious about that? Who did the appraisal? The grandmother of Liberty German. What was her name? Patty. Her last name was Patty. And some people say that she had something to do with it. She did the appraisal. She's an appraiser. How weird is that? She does the appraisal for a landlord, and then the house burns down in a fire with people in it that the next month or a couple months. And then her granddaughter ends up missing in some weird, we don't know what. I mean, they got Richard Allen in prison, but that's another one. I don't believe the guy had anything to do with it. I believe that more than I believe BK had nothing to do with Idaho 4. I can tell you that right now. Hands down. There's no way that man did that at 5'2" with two girls that were pretty good size. I mean, I don't care if he had a gun in his hand or not. I just am not seeing it. So in that case, same type of just crazy, weird people retiring. In the Delphi case, one of the investigators ends up getting shot in front of an FBI office. You want to tell me that's not some craziness? I mean, right in broad daylight, guns the guy down in front of the FBI office. It's one of the investigators. And the guy that went down is one of those Odinist types. Believes in the Odin religion and all this. And it's some weird stuff. I mean, if people think you're nuts when... No, I could see you, Dan. I didn't know what your metal comment was. I couldn't quite understand it. So I take it from you this post that it was a positive one. So that's cool, dude. I said I couldn't tell if you were doing that or if you were screwing with me. So no, you're good, man. You're good. You're good. Yes, Walton, I can see you. I could see you over there. Yeah, Chappie, this is weird, man. We're geeking out on metal, and it's just like everybody's cool. We probably chased a few people out, but yeah, it's cool. Here's Juan with my good friend Juan Molina, one of the guys that put the ramp in for me to get into Horns High Studio. Juan, I was out there this week with my caregiver here, and she was helping me a little bit out there. And then my wife is going to be helping me get some stuff cleared out so that I can get in there and got you, get back to doing the shows from in there. So you won't be seeing the dining room much anymore. Now, if you're not familiar, if you haven't been watching me if you've been watching me from last year, you know what the studio looks like. If you haven't, I strongly suggest go watch one of those older videos. It's going to be nuts, the difference between where I'm sitting right now and what it looks like out there. Okay? And I'll just give you a quick rundown because I want you guys to get hyped up. I'm going to do a video tour of Horns High Studios. At first, it will be available to only the members. I'll give them first dibs at it for a couple days, and then I'll release it to the rest. But the members deserve first looks at stuff when I can. So I'm going to do a full video tour of Horns High. It's a small studio. It's like 12 by 15, not real big. Drywall. I had an artist come in and paint it black. Except one wall, I wanted flames on the wall. So she made flames on one wall. The rest, the ceiling, everything's black. But then she suggested on the wall opposite the flame wall that she suggested white and then like blood spatter on it. And I wanted blood spatter on the black areas too, but the white, it really shows up, of course. So it's crazy because you got like the flames, the white with the blood, you got the black, everything else. So it's dark in there. And when I do video, I really have the lights down. So the lights are lights I can control, like the backlighting and then the lighting on me. And the rest of the studio is dark. And it's wicked. It's wicked. And the big Murder Metal Mayhem banner on the wall behind me, it's like made for it. That the studio was designed for the visual because I always wanted to eventually um, do video on YouTube, but I didn't know if anybody would really want to watch it because they weren't really watching the podcasts. I've got video of the podcast. If you look through the channel, I've got videos of it. Certain episodes I put out there to see if people would be into it, and just didn't get the interest. But you know what? When I look at our stats on the podcast that I haven't done for over a year now, we are still at this last week, we're at 715 or so listens. And that's a lot for a podcast that hasn't been around for a year. To still get that many listens is really cool. So people are still digging it. People are still listening to those old episodes, and that's cool. 265, I think we did, or 6. We did almost 300. And if you count all the bonus episodes, it's well over 300. More like 400. Got short bonus episodes on there too. So yeah, so that's cool. And it's me with 2 other people. Sometimes it's 3 other people. It just depends on the time of the era of the show that you watch or listen to. But it was really really wild. Voice of Astrology, Karis over there listens to the classic episodes. Yeah, I've got some good ones. Got Zodiac, got Gacy. We did all those, but our specialty was the rare, weird, off-wall ones, like Harvey Glattman last week on the Serial Killer Story Hour, and Joel Rifkin and Arthur Shawcross, and some of these, just names that most people that follow true crime maybe have heard of but don't know much about. And then other ones, Fritz Honka over there in Germany, brutal. The Moors murderers over in the UK, Fred and Rose West, Catherine Knight. I mean, we've just nonstop, one after the other every week for 7 years. Very rarely took any weeks off. So yeah, you got tons of stuff over there. If you really, really love some Murder Metal Mayhem, if you like it a little more raucous, more R rated, then this would be more like PG-13, in my opinion. So I really have to, in the beginning, not now, but I really had to watch it. I kind of treat this like I used to do my classes, because of course I couldn't get the everything to work out just right the way I wanted it to. But sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. Here's Carl Thomas, friend of the show. Thanks for doing the Ashland Couch rental maneuvering video a couple weeks ago. I thought you would dig that, Carl. I'm glad that you did. Yeah, Carl's a great resource for good stuff. Love to have him in on the lives when he can get on it, and also with the videos in the comment section. You see, oftentimes if there's a pinned comment, it's from Carl, because Carl is really smart and a very, very good thinker, and fun to have on, because he and I do agree on nearly everything. I can't even think of something that I didn't agree with. But then that's what makes this community awesome. So, we went a full hour and a half talking. It's like a Seinfeld episode, right? We talked about nothing. No, we talked about metal. We talked about some music, which is cool. We talked about the Idaho 4 and new things going on. Don't forget, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central, the Serial Killer Storytime Hour. I'll be there talking about Alan Legier, and I'm going to be with my friend Shane. We're going to do that one together. It's going to be great. Going to have a lot of fun with that one. Also, going to see if AR is down, but we're also thinking about revisiting me, AR, and Lee again. It was such a hit on Thursday. That was off the hook. We're going to do it again, hopefully, this coming Thursday, but I got to check with AR to make sure he's good. So that'll be great. So a lot of good things coming up. So don't forget to like the video. If you're not a subscriber and you haven't already done that, if you would please subscribe. I'm going to try to remember to put in the description the link to the t-shirts and stuff. But if you go to the Murder Metal Mayhem channel, in the posts, there's a couple of posts in there about it. You can get the link there, but I'll try to get it in these descriptions so it's easier for you, but it's hard to remember everything. So, all right, guys. Well, good to see you all. Nothing big going on with me medically this week. Just getting some orthopedic shoes, or shoe, I should say, for my right foot. The VA's got me a new set for me. I got to go get them tried out and everything. So I got to do that. But other than that, it should be pretty chill. But I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Horns high.